welcome. Today we're going to be doing a painting on Artset 4. This is a digital drawing app which has the most realistic brush textures I've ever worked with, so if you want to find out a bit more about Artset 4 and see one of my drawings, then keep watching on. By the way, I'm looking down at my iPad. Starting off with opening up our document, so there's a little plus button in the bottom right, so you press that. You can scroll down and select different sizes. I always like to do custom because I find the ones that they just give you with to start off with are just like, they're quite small, not that great quality, so I like to create a custom size. I usually go in centimetres because I print in centimetres, so it makes sense to me. So in this instance I've gone for a 30cm by 30cm square. There's a variety of different colours of papers, like backdrops you can use. Today I'm just using this like textured yellow paper. This is the paper I use for most of my drawings. I like that it's sort of a uniform colour, but it does have that little bit of texture to it, which I really enjoy. And you can see me here, I'm just sampling a couple of the different brushes. In the oil paint section there's oil paint lumpy, oil paint tube, and then oil paint flat. So I don't tend to use tube because I think it has like this weird sort of like lump where you start, but I use oil paint lumpy and oil paint flat a lot depending on what kind of effect I'm trying to achieve. You can see here in the video where I'm using the dark blue and then the like minty green, and they blend really beautifully together. So yeah, I think if you're looking for that kind of realistic blend, this has that really nice option for you. Now you've seen all my swatches, let's get cracking with our drawing. So you've seen me there, I added in the underdrawing which I did on Procreate. I did the grid lines, maxed it into thirds, and then whacked it on a new layer in here. Now it's important when I start painting that I get a new layer, because if I don't, then actually the blue in the underdrawing I've done will blend in. So in a way it's very much like how, you know, a traditional medium would work, but I don't really want the blue to blend in, so I'm just creating a new layer, which is the beauty of digital painting. So I started with the cup in the centre. I feel like this is the centrepiece of the artworks, that's why I've started here. I've gone with the big shadow, I've started blending. I'm using oil paint lumpy because as you blend it out it does flatten out. Then I will go back in later, I believe, with the oil paint flat to sort of help blend basically. I did this main shadow a few times. The first time I did it was quite cool, and actually when I was looking at the cup again it kind of needed to be warmed up. And you can see me here as well adding the texture to all the parts of the saucer, and then sort of adding the shadows, going over that with the ridges of the saucer. It's quite a tricky texture actually to draw, but I was quite pleased with how it ended up in the end. I knew I wanted to have a checkerboard as part of this piece. I chose these two of the standard colours because obviously this is going to be part of a 9-section piece. I wanted this checkerboard to be cohesive along all 9 pieces, so that's why I chose one of the colours that they have pre-prepared rather than a colour that I've mixed, because then it's more easily replicatable. And then I've just gone in and added some shadows to make it look a lot less flat. This cork texture on the board that the bread is sat on was quite tricky to replicate, so I just kind of did my best pointillism in lots of different tones and shades to try and recreate what that looks like. But I'll get there eventually. But if you've got any tips for that, I'd be more than welcome to hear them. And then I'm going in on the bread. Now the bread was the most hard part. I did it and then I rubbed it out and I redid it and then I did it again. It was just really hard to get that kind of mottled texture of the baked bread, but it also being smooth and then having the contrast of the texture sort of in the bit which is cut. So, you know, I did it many times and rubbed it out to try and get it correct. I just wanted to show you a close-up here of what that kind of process looks like when I'm in the middle of drawing. So you can see I've got the side view on my iPad. I think my iPad is an iPad 2020, so I've got the option to have the split view or the side over. So when I'm drawing I like to have the side over so that my actual canvas for the main app that I'm using is as big as it can be. And you can see me here using the top bar to pick out different tones, different colours. I'm just building up the colour here, working my way through, trying to blend and fix the colours. Again, this was a very tricky process, trying really hard to study my image so that I'm replicating as best as I possibly can, because sometimes it feels like it should be warm colours and then it's cool colours. And I actually kind of struggled a lot with that in this image. I'm not too sure why, particularly in this image more than any other, but yeah, I kind of was struggling to identify, is this a cooler brown or a warmer brown? Because sometimes they're kind of like on the cusp of neutral, and then it's quite hard to sort of make that differentiation. But you can see here I'm just working, especially in that middle section, trying to sort of tidy it up. I got there with that texture in the end. I think it could probably still do a bit of improvement, but it will. I was happy with it for now. And now you can just see me here finishing it up. And then the last thing to do was to add the little dainty pattern onto the teacup. I decided to do this in a separate layer, and I think it blended in really nicely in the end with the actual cup itself. So yeah, that was the whole process, and I hope that you can see just how like beautiful and like textural that the oil painting on Art Set 4 can be. I think my big tips is I personally try not to change my brush size too much. You know, if you're in real life when you're using oil paint, you're going to be limited by your brushes, and so I try not to change my brush like every 5 seconds. I try to sort of stay, I kind of like the 20% size. And as well, there is a feature where in the bottom left side with the little plus where the papers are, so on the left side it says paper, on the right side it says edit, and there's a dry button. So if you're finding your colours are getting a bit muddy, you can just press that dry button. It dries down the layer as if like you've left it for a week, and you can work on top of it and it blends in a bit less, it doesn't blend in so easily. So that's quite a useful thing to have as well. But yeah, I was really pleased with how it turned out in the end. So it's part of one of 9, so I'll be working on the next 9 throughout the next weeks, and we shall see how they turn out. But I'm really excited for this piece and for doing a lot more digital drawing in 2024. And it's just such a convenient way to draw, especially when you work full time like I do. So it really allows drawing to fit into my schedule. So if you haven't tried Art Set 4, I would recommend giving it a go, and I hope you like the artwork, and thank you for watching. Bye!